Howdy ho there. My name is Emma. I am a yoga teacher and I've been teaching yoga now for 13 years and I've been practicing for about 14 years. The style of yoga that I gravitate towards is Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga is, it's known as one of the most difficult forms of yoga. It's very vigorous, very hard. You need a lot of patience and a lot of time to practice it, but that's like with all yoga practices. But I've also practiced Iyengar yoga and Hatha yoga as well. I think that it's really important if you're going to do any movement in your life that you should always branch out and never stick to one particular style. I think that's good for your body, but it's also good for your mind to learn different things. The type of yoga postures that I would recommend for people who are into gymnastics are things like more your deep stretching, like yin yoga. I think if you're prepping for a competition in particular, you would already be doing a lot of mobility and stability work in your gymnastics practice. So do something which is a little bit more cooling and a little bit more relaxing. The reason why I like yoga, well, I mean, where would you start with answering a question like that? Like, there is the meditation, the philosophy of yoga. It does help you to be a more happier person if you break it down and look at it in a practical way. So you're learning how to be more mindful of yourself and being more compassionate. It helps you to love who you are so you can help to love other people. So it really is not just a physical practice, but it is a whole spiritual practice. It's like a system of self-help, learning how to be a better person so then you can be better for everybody else around you. So I guess this is a little bit naive, but in a very naive way, I think that if everybody practiced yoga, the world would be a much better place. Top yoga postures for gymnasts and beginners, well, it depends on where you're at physically. I would say if you were a gymnast and you were looking to balance the amount of training that you're doing, like I said, doing a yin yoga practice, so learning those deep stretches that yoga can offer you is really, really beneficial. If you're a beginner, start with the foundations. And even if you are already a very flexible, strong person, I would definitely start off with the more basic stuff anyway, because yoga is very much a practice. Like, when I first started doing yoga, I was really quite strong in my upper body. So I jumped into doing things that were really quite advanced, a lot of the arm balances, practicing handstands and forearm stands, which is fine. You can practice that. But never assume that because you might have a lot of strength somewhere that you're not going to break down mechanically in some way. Like, I ended up getting a lot of injuries from not doing a proper practice, and I learnt the hard way. So I would definitely recommend those foundational postures: Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3, your seated postures, those basic foundational poses, and definitely learn face-to-face with an instructor. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, Emma's Yoga, but I would definitely recommend go to a studio and learn with a practitioner because they can see where your needs are. I mean, that generally goes without saying, but you know, if you've got somebody who's looking at your body, they can see where you're at and they can see where your needs are. And always remain humble with your yoga practice to protect your body and to get the most out of it, I would say. The benefits of yoga as a whole, I'm just talking physically. So yoga works a type of muscle fiber called postural muscle, which helps to stabilize your body. Postural muscle contracts slower, okay, and it holds for longer. So if you learn a yoga practice, particularly if you do gym training, it can assist you with that. And how does it assist you with that? Well, it helps to build that postural muscle strength to help stabilize you whilst you're performing those exercises. So for instance, when you're doing a squat, your hamstrings are acting as dynamic stabilizers in that pose. So they're opening out and they're moving at a wider range of motion, but with stability. So yoga can assist you with that. I often get people who do prefer to do gym training who are incorporating a yoga practice into their regime, that there is an increase in strength. They always say, I've gotten stronger and I don't know why. And it's not that yoga helps you, necessarily with lifting. It's not about how heavy you can lift. It's just, it helps to build that postural muscle strength, which is really, really quite key for your gym training, because postural muscle, like I said, it helps to stabilize you and support you. when you're performing whatever exercise that you're performing. It also helps you with body awareness. When you're also learning gym training, there is a lot of body awareness involved, and you can also have postural issues that can hold you back. So yoga can really help you with that understanding of how to position your body, understanding with how to hold your posture correctly, and it can assist you with correcting your posture physically. With a deadlift, for instance, some deadlifts you need to have a little bit of thoracic extension, just a little bit, and know how to pull your shoulders back and activate your lats. So what's a really good posture for that? So a downward facing dog can help you with that thoracic extension. Having tight lats and a rounded back is not ideal for learning how to do a squat. So a downward facing dog can assist you with that. Yoga physically can help you with a lot of things. I mean, that's not to say that you can't do other mobility exercises. Like I think I'd be talking to a lot of gymnasts right now, and you know, there's heaps of mobility work in gymnastics training. So it's really just one of many methods that you can use to improve your physical. But I would say don't just look at yoga as just simply stretching. It helps to improve mobility, posture. It can assist you with a lot of different things. I use yoga as the foundation for a lot of my own gym training. So, you know, yoga can, there's definitely a lot of benefits with yoga, and with the mindfulness aspect of it, the meditative practice. It really does, it's really just that holistic exercise, you know, for your mind, your body, and your whole spirit. So a lot of benefits with yoga. So another benefit to yoga, let's look at fascia. So what is fascia? Fascia is a web-like form of connective tissue which holds and wraps and binds all your body structures and holds them in suspension. But it's so much more than that. Fascia used to be looked at as more just like the body's glad wrap, holding you together. But it's also involved with functional movement. It's also involved with assisting with nerve conduction into the muscles. Now, you have literally thousands of layers of fascia. And in between those layers, you have hyaluronic acid, which helps the fascial layers slide and glide, okay? Now, when you lose flexibility, it's not so much the muscle getting smaller, it's more the fascial layers are getting stickier. So that hyaluronic acid becomes more like a sticky honey. And then those fascial layers can't slide and glide the way that they're supposed to. So when you're looking at stretching and mobility work, you're helping to improve or stimulate that hyaluronic acid production, which then allows the fascial layers to slide and glide a lot more efficiently. So think about your body more as one moving unit rather than just, you know, individual muscle groups being opened up and lengthened. So you're not so much lengthening a muscle as you're more helping with that fascial layer sliding and gliding. De-stressing, trust yourself. If you trust yourself in a difficult circumstance and a stressful circumstance, then you can get through it without losing your mind. A lot of the time when people get stressed, it's usually that fear of not knowing what to do. So if you trust your ability in that circumstance to get through it, if you trust your knowledge to be able to work out whatever difficulty you're dealing with at the time, if you trust yourself, then you're less likely to lose your mind and to get lost in the emotion of it. And just being fair on yourself. Be fair on yourself. Goodness gracious. You know, we're often really hard on ourselves, and we sometimes end up resenting ourselves a lot because, you know yourself probably better than most people, I would say. And you know the bad aspects of yourself, you know the good aspects of yourself, or maybe you don't even see the good aspects of yourself and you're constantly ruminating on all these bad characteristics. Well, just know that everyone has bad character. We all do. And forgiving yourself and just being fair, and know that, you know, you're a human just like everything else, can really help you to de-stress, and just know that you're in the same boat as everybody else. Life can be really difficult. Life can be maybe even harder than what you think it is. But it's not that life is better than what you think it is. It's more that you are stronger than what you think you are. You are more powerful than what you think you are. And you start off with doing something like yoga. So yoga or any sort of physical exercise can be like a really great foundation for building that, inner trust and that ability to know that you can do something difficult. Yoga is difficult. Please don't underestimate yoga. And I find that when I see like a client who's achieved like a headstand or an arm balance, the happiness that they gain from that, it's not just about getting that pose, but it's knowing that you can get that pose. So you should know that if you have the capacity to do something difficult like yoga, you have the capacity to get through anything in life. And you know, human beings are capable of doing so much, and you're one of them. So that's an aspect of de-stressing which I think a lot of people don't look at. They don't look at that inner work enough. They look at it as, you know, let's just sit back and relax and have a glass of wine and just chill. And I mean, you know, power to you if that's really helping you. But it's a lot of that inner work, that deep trust in yourself, that ability, that knowledge that you can get through life. Don't shut yourself away from life and pretend that stress and anxiety doesn't exist. Learn how to face it and learn and know that you can get through it, because you can. Okay, and it's more like time and practice. The de-stressing from yoga, comes with time. So, you know, you could be practicing yoga for about 10 months and maybe not notice any results. You're looking at years. So really take your time with it and just know that you can get through anything. That's what I would say about de-stressing. Alrighty, so a beginner guide to yoga blocks. I hope you can hear me. There's lots of noise out here. The birds are singing and the drills are drilling, but we should get through it. So yoga blocks are really, really great to assist you in your practice, whether you're a beginner or whether you're more advanced. Okay, so these are yoga blocks. Quite solid. You can get any type of yoga block. You can get little foam ones like I've got here, or cork ones. How to use them? So for instance, an example would be standing forward bend. If you find that you're more like this and you've got really tight hamstrings, you can rest your hands on yoga blocks, okay? If you're doing any type of posture, so this is your triangle pose. As a beginner, you can use your yoga block like so. So it's really a way to provide you with support, particularly in the beginning if you are lacking a little bit of flexibility and you need to support your hand. Also, another way you can use yoga blocks is if you are a little bit more advanced and you want to increase your flexibility. So this is an example here. Seated forward bend. So you might find that you're quite comfortable in this. So you can use a yoga block to increase the depth of your stretch. Another way to use a yoga block would be to help with opening out your chest. So you can take the yoga block, you can place that yoga block in between the shoulder blades and very, very gently lie back onto that block, and you support your head with the other one. So it's always ideal to have two, and you can use your yoga blocks like so and just allow your legs to open out like this. So this is an example of how you can use a yoga block, stretching and opening out the chest. So this can be quite good. Other ways to use yoga blocks. So again, if you are quite tight, yogic squat. So a lot of people might end up here in the beginning. So you can sit on a yoga block. So you can use a yoga block to assist you if you can't fully get down in, say, a posture like this. Other examples of how to use a yoga block. So in a forward bend, particularly in a seated one, you might be very, very tight in your hamstrings to the point where you can't even feel the stretch. To do a seated forward bend, you want to be able to articulate your hips to lengthen your hamstrings. Your hamstrings are attaching to an attachment point called the ischial tuberosity. So you want to be able to send that attachment point back. So if you're really tight, that's probably not going to happen. So you can sit on a yoga block to help you with sending your hips back, and you may feel that stretch a little bit more. Other examples, there's tons of examples. I'm going through a lot of them. So you can do a pigeon pose like so, and you might find that your hip is not coming down. You can support your hip like this. So multitude of ways that you can use yoga blocks. I would definitely incorporate this in any practice, whether you're a beginner, advanced. They're your best friend. Love your yoga blocks.